What do you see as the future for the most rural parts of the state? Do they just rely on wireless? Is it wireline? What's your feeling?
Well, so we've invested early, as AT&T did, as all the independents did in Georgia, invested early in the technologies to get it up into the rural areas. And so while we still have gaps out there, I think you'll see most of them closed by the incumbent LECs, as well as the wireless companies. The wireless companies continue, as Kim said earlier, continue to build new towers, and the LECs and others are continuing to place fiber to those towers, because I'm sure most of the people in this room realize you're only wireless until you hit the tower, and then you're not wireless anymore, going over a terrestrial network at that point. But so we'll continue to build out the towers, and we'll continue to build out so that we get to the most rural places.
Yeah, I think it's like anything. It's supply and demand. And so where the dense populations are, again, if businesses aren't using, and I'm business, I can't speak to consumer consumption, but if our businesses aren't leveraging technology, we're building out where the need is. And obviously, again, we're focusing a lot on the cell towers, especially in the more rural areas, but it gets back to the partnership. So, if our customers are using it and the demand is there, then that's where the build out is going to be.
They're tasked with a much different project, being incumbents as we are with CLEX. And, we're competitive, so we're looking for where we can get a return a lot quicker. One of our great success stories across Georgia is a technical college, just like one we're sitting in here. I was talking to Stephen. He does their IT for all the technical college system in Georgia, and there's approximately 30 colleges. We do about 20 of them, and we've done it where we might have to go out and build 30 miles, but the technical college became that kind of anchor customer for us, and we were able to go out and build to rural areas where there's no fiber. And so we were able to make that happen. So when we see that cooperation in the rural areas where they take and put their assets together, it makes it where that cooperation can allow us to push out farther and deeper.
And we're an incumbent carrier, plus we're a competitive carrier. So we see kind of both sides of the coin. So we're lucky in our competitive areas, we're able to go out and we build where it makes economic sense. In our incumbent area, we provide service to, right now, more than 99% of our incumbent customers can get 3 to 6 meg. 92% of those can get up to 50 meg through our coax system. But long term, there's got to be some mechanism in place, I believe, to continue that level of service that we've been able to provide in the past.
This whole process is like expanding a utility, which I believe broadband to be. So it's going to take different solutions, public-private partnership. Definitely, you can't just, Australia just basically, I don't know if anyone, you may have seen some of the news, but Australia had an ambitious plan to basically wire the entire nation. About a $40 billion project, and it just didn't work out. You can't take fiber and build out that to supply that. So it's got to be wireless, has to be different methods. So it's going to be a creative solution. Cost continues to go up while the expectation and the demand of the market, that it continues to drive it down. The days of selling, a DS3 for, $5,000 to $10,000, it's over. They've added in AT&T as well. The application layers was going to kind of rob Peter and pay Paul for our losses in the for the internet. All the things that you stick on the backside in order to drive aftermarket value is what's really going to be able to maintain an ISP.
But the other dynamic that's going on there, while the cost of labor, the cost of fiber is about flat, but the cost of labor, of course, continues to rise. But the cost of our equipment that has to supply these megabytes, the electronics themselves, that's continuing to drive down too. So that's helping us, right? You can buy terabit systems today for what, when I first came into the industry, you couldn't buy, 3DS3 worth of capacity for. So that's helping the service providers be able to put up these bigger and bigger pipes and keep the cost down.
I see myself almost on a daily basis doing as much business planning and value propositions and return on investment and those kind of things with my customers, more so than just here's the price and you know here's the monthly fee. It's more of building that relationship to there is a cost to this, but here's what you're going to get out of it. Here's the value that you're going to see at the end of the day by moving your business to this product, and here's what you can do. That's how we seem to be successful.
So I think sometimes we get a little bit carried away with the gig concept. I mean, I guess if you've got 15 people at your house that you want to immerse in a fully immersive experience and you need that kind of bandwidth, you know, we're trying to keep up with our customers. Any customer in my network, I have several gig customers. We did a rollout with Civilium and their group in Rome to provide the makerspace in a select area inside of Rome. The gig is there today. Anybody in my network that wants a gig that's got the money can have it.
I can recall my former CEO at EPB of Chattanooga, EPB Fiber Optics. He came in one morning and I knew something was going to go terribly wrong. He looked down the table and he said, tonight we're going to double everybody's bandwidth and they're not going to pay a nickel more. And I, being an alarmist, said, you can't do this. They'll eat us alive. And he said, well, you're going to do it. And I said, okay, we'll do it. So we did, and I immediately went to look at our sustained rate and our peak and how we were doing, and they use 1% more than they did before. We talk about consumers that use a lot of internet, and I don't know if we'll ever get to this type of model where basically everybody gets a gig, and those that actually use it, they pay for it. You know, you pay for what you eat. It's a metered-based system. Consumers are extremely averse to even hearing that. But at the end of the day, that's what needs to happen. Because if you're going to use it, then you need to be the one paying for it. As far as
yeah, we certainly don't subscribe to electricity by capacity, right? I don't know if my house has 150 amps or 500 amps of capacity. I just know that I get billed for what I use.
That's a great point. You know, if you want to get everybody the same thing, much like the rural electrification project did many years ago, you don't have to look far into history to say, well, if everybody's going to get the privilege of having that, you know, it's going to take a subsidy from the masses to get there. So if you want everybody to have the level of broadband that Stephen was suggesting, so these folks in the rural communities can use it, there has to be an economics that drive it. And the economics can drive it from the consumers paying for it, so, you know, everybody pays as you go, or if we let the economics of taxation by other folks to drive it, and it's a federal program or something like that to bring it back, I think that's what's going to take to drive it. You know, it all finally comes down to money, in my opinion. It just gets real simple. You know, if you want it, you know, then the masses have to pay for it to get a few up to speed, and the economy will drive it.